Welcome, everybody. My name is Mina Jane. I'm the director of the Ashland Public Library, Massachusetts. And with me is Jody Blanchette, also known as Red Read Reviews. We had a little discussion about is it Red Reviews or Red Read Reviews? Red Read. Anyway, so she's going to be giving us all of her amazing recommendations for us to read. And we'll be having a whole conversation about what you're reading. And I always interject with stuff. So welcome, Jody. Thanks so much for being here again. This is a
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no, monthly series. We see Jody usually the second Tuesday of the month. So
I'm coming at you from Vermont today. I'm in Connecticut, and I have a beautiful backdrop of all my books. But I'm on a vacation with my family in Vermont, and there are no fun books in this place. They have a bookshelf of like nature stuff, and Calvin Coolidge apparently has a place out here, so there's a lot of stuff about him. It's very boring stuff. I kind of want to like leave stuff in the thing for other people, like a little free library type thing, because it's completely boring. So your backdrop is trees, because I'm up on a mountain, and I don't have books to really show you today like I like to do pairings so you can see the cover I have, but I did go shopping. There are where I am in Vermont, there's the Norwich bookstore and the Yankee bookstore in Norwich and Woodstock, Vermont. So I did hit them. Really nice, cute little bookstores. I'm gonna have pictures up on the my Insta. So I grabbed a copy of Ronald Malfi. This is the Night Parade. I've been reading him for a couple of years. I really enjoyed Black Mouth by him. He writes like old school Stephen King, like Joe Hill does now currently. It's very character driven, character intense, very descriptive, vivid imagery. This is horror. It's usually very small town horror. Like I said, I haven't read this, so I can't tell you what I feel about it, but I'm looking forward to it because I do like this writer. I've met him a couple times. He's gone to Haverhill. He's just such a nice guy. So I really like him. And I also picked up.
Is that part of a series by any chance?
Oh God, I hope not. I have to read them in order if it is.
Yes.
Did you read this? Do you know that?
I don't know that, but you had mentioned the other book, and I know that I was on his website recently, and I was like, oh, yeah. So just buy or
yes, I'm gonna have to look it up, because if it's part of a series, I'm gonna have to start from book one. Yeah, because that's how I roll.
I do want to say, people who are here, feel free to chat in the chat with us. We are in webinar mode, so we won't hear you or see you, but I'm happy to ask questions of Jody. If you have them, you can put them in the chat or the Q&A. We'd love to hear from you guys. So Ronald Malfi, great.
Yes, good horror. So next up, not my genre at all. I'm sure everybody's probably read this. I know that everybody, this is Angie Kim's first book, Miracle Creek, and her newest book coming out is Happiness Falls. Not my genre. But in my library in Connecticut, there's this group of libraries called the Quiet Corner, which is like, I think it's like 8 or 9 libraries that get together and they bring an author in for a big author, like big name. And they're having Angie Kim come, I believe, next week, which is why we had to move our date, because she's going to be there. So I read the book because I'm not going to go an author event without, reading some of her stuff. So she's a Korean author, and she talks about, this is not her life, but it's very much based on her life, from coming to Korea as a child, not knowing English at all, being outcasted, and then how she blames her family for just all of that, the bullying and the life that she's had to live, and it also has there. So it's actually about this hydro chamber where you put your people go in, and they it's supposed to be known to help with diseases and autism and whatnot. And in Miracle Creek, the Korean family has this chamber, and it's a bunch of mothers with their autistic children that go in and take advantage of this. And there's death in the chamber. There's a big fire, so it's mostly the trial about how they're trying to blame it on this one mother who supposedly killed her child because she was just like tired and done, and so it deals with a lot of mothering. It's from the perspective of several mothers, and then the child. Mary. It's an intense book. I actually enjoyed it. I didn't think I was going to enjoy it as much as I did. My librarian was like, Jody, this is not going to be a book you're going to want to read. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to this thing, not knowing. I did it on audiobook, which was great because she was able to pronounce names that I would not have been able to. And she did accents on point. So I picked up the book so I could have it signed, and I actually did enjoy it. So
is that quick question about that book? You said it's not your genre. So what genre would you consider it to be? Women's fiction? It's not a mystery because I know you like mysteries and thrillers.
I don't want to call it women's fiction, but I think that's what it is.
Okay.
Or general fiction. But yeah, maybe women's fiction.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, it sounds.
I dabble.
Okay. Yes, I know. You're not like a two-trick pony, but so would you? I mean, like, if it's not necessarily women's fiction, would you call it literary fiction? I mean, I hate those terms generally.
That's the thing. I hate those terms, but I think it's like a middle ground between literary and women's fiction. I mean, it's very well written, and there's a lot of perspective and diving into the mothering, and I don't know. It's really well written. But it's not. Maybe it is sort of a mystery because you don't really know who set the place on fire until the end, which was kind of shocking. So maybe it's, I don't know.
I don't need a definitive answer. I was just curious that you said that it's not your genre. So I thought,
it's not.
What is it that's different than something you normally
There was no thrill factor. There was no fast moving, fast pace. There was no hurry to figure out who did it for me. Okay. And that's a good thriller for me. There was no darkness in there. So I think it's women's fiction.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So I did buy one last book that I can't show you because it's propping up my phone. I bought the Wanderers by Chuck Wendig, who I've only read that book, Black River Orchard, which was my pick last year. So now I feel like I have to read everything by him. So I picked up this book, which apparently I think it's the first book of 2. The book is thick too. Like, he doesn't mess around with his books. I don't know how he gets away with writing books that are this thick. I mean, this is like 2 inches of book, but Black River Orchard was 2 inches of book, and I read that in 2 days. So if you can write a book that is that thick and it keep moving and moving to the point where you don't want to put it down, he gets props, man. I mean, props. So I'm pretty excited to read that. I know nothing about it. I like to go into books blind. That's another thing. So I don't read the synopsis. I really shop by author.
Oh, okay. Wow. So what was it about the Black? I mean, you said
Black River Orchard.
Black River Orchard, which was your favorite book of last year, as I recall you telling me. What was so good about that made you pick up all of the rest of his books?
His descriptions, the level of darkness he goes to, and then he really the characters are so deep and messed up, which I love. And I don't know, I guess that's why it takes up 2 inches of book, is that he really goes into it, and all the little things about the town that don't seem important really are. It was just perfect. It was like the perfect book. Ugh, I want to frame it. If I could frame a book, I'd frame it and put it on the wall. So those are the books that I bought. Now, stuff that I've been reviewing lately, I've been bouncing around with my genres. I don't know what's going on with me. I'm having a moment here. So I have another one that I don't know if I talked about it last time. Did I talk about The Other Year by Rhea Fry?
No.
Was that on my list? Okay. Because I think I read that one right after I had my last Zoom with you. So that is not, I think she was on a thriller panel when I met her, but I don't consider the book a thriller. It's a book about grief, which is really heavy for me. I tend to avoid them. I've read a lot of horror books that deal with grief. And I think that's really the only way I can deal with it without crying my eyes out, is when it's done through horror. This book is, oh my God, it wrecked me. It's about a mom, and she's like a single mom now, and she takes her daughter, who I think was like 10, on vacation, and her daughter dies on vacation. So, but that's not the story. So it's written it's like 2 books in one. It's written from a timeline of the daughter dying, and having to deal with the grief of that and moving on. And then it's written from the second timeline, and I believe it's time. She calls each timeline timeline 1, timeline 2. Timeline 2 is the daughter doesn't die, right? But then she's dealing with this custody issue with the father, so she's kind of losing her daughter because of that. And the path that she's taking on that route. So it's, you've lost your daughter through death, you're moving on, trying to get your life back. You lost your daughter through custody, or she wants to be with her father, dealing with that sort of loss. And then they both merge together so beautifully. Like, how the hell does that happen? It was so well written, man. The first timeline, I'm bawling my eyes out. I have not lost a child, but you have to be in the right frame of mind to read this book. I'm telling you right now, I can't put this in my book club because we're all criers and I will get yelled at. It gutted me. Crying my eyes out. Oh my God, I felt like I was grieving the loss of this child. And then in the second timeline, it's not so heartbreaking, but it's definitely, you're thinking more. What is it? The path not taken, or two paths merge. There's that Robert Frost thing going on there. She really tackled that. So really well done. Really well written. She's got a new book coming out. I think it might be out, or it's coming out. I'm going to have to read it, even though it's not my genre, because she wrecked me with this book. She gets props.
It sounds like a Star Trek episode, but better.
Yeah. No, I don't know if it would have been better if I had read it just timeline 1 and then gone back and read timeline 2, because it's definitely an emotional roller coaster, going from all the sadness and grief to the second timeline where that child is still alive, and she's got this happiness, but it was hard. It was such a hard book, but it was so good. So that was my sappy, sad book. I'm not going to have another one for a while because I can't deal with it. I got some good horror in here.
Like read like horror after horror, but anything that makes you sad, you're like, nope, not doing that again.
No, I have to be in the mood for it, because it wrecked me, man. I don't cry. I don't want to cry. It's like Nicholas Sparks. I read all his books. They made me cry. I watched the movies. They made me cry. I've got to be like, no kids in the house, a glass of wine, ready to ugly cry when no one's around. I got to be in the mood. And I'm never in the mood. So I have Home is Where the Bodies Are. I don't know if you're hearing the buzz about that. Geneva Rose, who she was originally a romance author, I believe, that made the jump over to thrillers. Or romantic suspense is, I think, maybe what she's called. So her new, I'm not gonna lie, was it The Marriage? I don't know what the first book was that she did the crossover with. Everybody was in love with it. She became like this TikTok sensation. I read the second one. I read that one. They were good, but they didn't do it for me. So I was like, do I really want to give her a third chance? Home is Where the Bodies Are was good. I really enjoyed it. So it's got this great, I just finished it. I don't have it on me. It's got this great VH tape cover. Yeah, so it's got this like bloody red handprint on it. It's very nostalgic. So you think that what you're going to be reading is like a 90s throwback, maybe 80s throwback sort of setting, and it's not. So to me, the cover has to go. The cover has to match with what's happening in the book, or I'm like, that's really sucks. So like, where does this VHS come into play? Well, the siblings are cleaning out their parents' house. They're dead. They got to start packing things up so they can sell the house, and they're going through all their old like scrapbooks and stuff, and they're like, oh, mom's box of VH tapes, remember when mom used to record everything? Let's put one in and watch one, and let's have a nostalgic moment. And they put this VH tape in, and it starts off, I think it was like a birthday or something, and you can picture it like that yellowy glow VH screen, and it's like, oh, mom's focusing on this and on that, and then it cuts to mom is recording their father with a dead body. Turns out the dead body was a kid that died back in the day, and they all knew what happened. And the whole book just takes this path about, did dad kill this girl, and why was mom involved and didn't say anything? And it's the siblings, they knew this girl, so how they dealt with her dying, and now knowing that maybe their dad was involved, and it becomes this whole unraveling, and the siblings don't get along, and they're all dealing with the trauma of that child's death now. One's a drug addict, one is got attachment issues. The other one just got the hell out. Um, so it's there's a lot going on there. She did a great job. She really did a great job. There's mystery, there's suspense, like 3 or 4 suspenseful moments where you're like, who's behind me, kind of thing. So she nailed it with this one. I did enjoy it. So I will be reading her again. Really free. I think this was her best.
Mm-hmm. I love that you were like mediocre for the other two, but that you gave her a chance and now are like a fan. So
I'm giving you like 3 or 4 chances. I mean, she's got to be selling these books for a reason. She's got this following for the reason. Maybe she's not writing for readers like me, but people love her stuff. This book, I think, was read for readers like me, was written for readers like me, because it's a little bit darker and there's more mystery. It's not like husband and wives and, oh, he's cheating on me, he's got a secret baby, oh, this is this, and he's this. I can't do any of that crap anymore. It was good. It was family stuff, and I was surprised. Excuse me. So next I'm going to go with I read a cozy mystery. Seriously, I think I'm getting soft.
Who are you?
Well, Jess,
our first couple sessions, you were like, "This was so scary. I couldn't."
I'm hardcore scary. I want blood and guts. But the writers, these writers are sending me books. Jess Lowry. She's from the Midwest, and she wrote a whole bunch of hardcore thrillers and made her name because of them. And then she throws out this book called Mayday, and she's sending out all these great swag boxes, and she sends me the swag box, and it's looks like the shape of a caboodles. Remember caboodles from back in the day where you keep your makeup in? Yeah, it looked like a caboodles, and it was filled with all these nostalgic candies and little, like, I don't know, it was very 90s. And I'm like, oh, this is pretty cool. And the book is called Mayday, and it's the first in a series, which I think it was called the monthly series. Each one has a like June, July. There's a month in the title. This actually this first book of that series was written in 2018, before she got big. And so now that she's made a name for herself with these other thrillers, they're re-releasing with new covers that are current, and the artwork for now is so much better than the artwork back in 2018. The cover is like a bright orange, and it's bold, very Finley Donovan kind of cover with the cartoony people on it. So I read Mayday. It was funny. The main character, kind of down on the luck girl, becomes a librarian. In this, she's got no librarian skills. She's not, she didn't go to school, but she becomes a librarian. And there's a dead body that shows up in the library, right? You should check out the picture I took for this book. I had my son's best friend come to the library. We went downstairs, and I had to like pose him so he was dead, with like the stacks of books behind him, so you could tell he was in the library. And in the book, the body is found. It's like this hot guy that's found in the library, and there's a book that's covering his face, so you can't tell that he's really dead. He looks almost like he's been sleeping. So I posed with my son's friend, so that like, I'm like, you have to be dead. And he's like, well, how am I going to be dead? Like, do I have to position my arm? I'm like, let me just pose you. And I posed him, and I put the book over his face, and the picture came out so good, and it was exactly what I pictured when I was reading the book. It was a lot of fun, but the whole text conversation to get him to come down to the library, I'm like, I have to kill you. He's like, oh, okay.
Well, I mean, you sort of did.
I did. But it fit the book so well. So anyway, so she's got to figure out what's going on with the dead body, why he was killed, and it becomes this whole it's with small town quirky people in the town. And like, the day after the body's discovered, this little old lady has started up tours where she's taking people around town. Oh, he was here, he was there, and this is where they found the body. So it's cute. It's not a lot of blood, no foul language. There's love scenes, not descriptive. So it is a perfect cozy. And I use it as palate cleanser, really, because I read some heavy stuff, and that was just a nice quick evening on the chair reading, and done. I really liked it.
Do you think that, we were talking about this earlier at the library, do you think that cozy mysteries are on a rise or on a wane?
I think they might be. I really do. I think, honestly, I think Finley Donovan, the El Casamano books, I think they really opened my generation and I think a little bit of younger generations to what cozy mysteries are. So once you find that genre and you're like, oh, I like the style of writing, I think that this age bracket is like, I'm gonna Google, cozy mysteries, and you're getting like, but that will send you down a rabbit hole, because then you're gonna get all of those, like the ice cream mysteries, or there's in Connecticut we have the cheese mysteries. She does every single book has some sort of a cheese in the title. I have not read them. I'm going to read them because I want her to come to my library. And I'm like, how does the cheese? How do I understand how the cheese plays into these cozy mysteries, like fondue death or death by cheddar? I mean, they're like, and then the names are so cheesy.
I knew that was coming. I love it.
Like the titles are so incredibly bad, but I love it. It's like bad dad jokes and puns, and I think that's selling. People are into that, and I think people, they want that quick read that isn't going to make them think a whole lot, isn't going to have that super darkness to it, and honestly, a lot of them make you laugh. The characters do make you laugh, so it's on the up. Horror's on the up, cozy's on the up. You either want to be scared or you want to laugh.
Or do you want some sex from the romance ones?
Yeah, well, there's that's the thing too. Romance, it's not really erotic. It's what is that level of romance? It's not erotic. What is it? Like the fourth wing? What is that?
The fourth wing is not erotic.
It's romance though, right? Yeah. Like there's some steamy scenes in it.
Well, I don't know. I'm gonna have to look into it because I don't consider it a romance, but I think more of it like a fantasy novel. Some romantic elements, but I don't know if there's like open door sex or anything. Well, we don't have to talk about it, but I did want to ask about a curious thing that you just said about there's a rise in cozy mysteries for younger people because of these new authors, because I thought it was kind of waning because people were like, okay, cats in bookstores, Laura Ashley, blah blah blah.
Yeah, you're thinking like like old lady books. You're thinking maybe it's going to be boring or stiff, or she's got her cat and she's got cheese, or she's got cupcakes and ice cream, like, because the covers have a lot of food on them, or they always have the cat, or there's a dog or something. They're very cozy looking pictures. So you think they're going to suck.
Well, but they're also very busy. Like you showed us a Finley, oh my God, I can't remember her names. Finley
Donovan,
right, cover, and it was totally different. I would never have known it was a cozy mystery.
Exactly.
It wasn't.
I think that the rebranding of the covers is what's bringing it back. I mean, you do have those diehard cozies that have the cat and the bookstore and the chair and the rocking chair, because that's just what they're known for. That author might be known for. But you have the younger people that are looking at these bright pink. I mean, pink was the background of one of her covers, Finley Donovan covers, and it's just a blown up picture of this girl. That's eye catching. You pick it up, you want it.
Yeah,
maybe that's transitioning to these cats in the lap.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's something for everybody.
Yeah. Oh, and that's the thing. That, like I said, it's not my genre. It's not my taste. Never would have picked it up before Finley. Finley really was my jump off for that.
Your gateway.
So I have gateway. Thank you. Good word. I do have a horror book that I just finished 2 days ago. I reviewed it this morning. It's called Among the Living by Tim Lebanon. He's from the UK. I had no clue who he was. I not read anything by him. Christopher Golden kept writing little things on his Facebook about this book. I take Christopher Golden very seriously. He's OG horror. He knows what's up. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to buy this book. I'm not going to read the back of it. Chris says to read it. I'm reading it. I bought it. I just read it. It was fantastic. I don't know if eco horror is a thing where it's about
like real life, actually.
Is it what?
Eco horror, like where climate change, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. Is it a thing? Is that becoming a thing?
Like it should be, right?
Yeah. So it's very eco horror. And sporer. Do you know what sporer is?
No.
Okay. I think that term was coined by Mother Horror on Instagram, who is this horror Instagrammer that I follow that knows all. She knows everything. I think you need to have her come to your library. She's like the guru. So you go to her when you have questions. I always send her a message, explain this to me, you know, tell me about this. How do you feel about this author? So Spore is mushroom horror, right? Sylvia Moreno Garcia, that book that she got big and famous for, I can't think of the name of it right now, is blowing my mind. That was considered Spore. It was about mushrooms. Mushrooms were everywhere. They were growing in the house. It was Mexican Gothic. Yes. There was, did you not read that? Oh my God. So good. There was another one by Kingfisher. Is it TK Kingfisher? T Kingfisher. She wrote another one that has mushrooms. It's all like fungus everywhere. You're feeling like that gross, that smell. You can smell, you know, the fungal smell. It's very earthy. And so that they are calling that spore. Well, in this book,
I love it.
you know, when the mushroom spores,
and
they kind of like poof, right? Its body's doing that. Yeah. They're poofing. They're poofing out this infection. I can't really tell you what happened because there's a lot going on there. All I can tell you is that people unleashed this ancient, by global warming, and they were in this cave and things are thawing and things are coming to the surface, and there's these ancient beings that are coming to the surface, and they sort of like zombie-esque kind of thing, and they spread this disease to humans by like their heads explode, and it's like a mist, and the mist hits you in the face, and if you inhale it, you're going to become that zombie, and then you have the spore, and it's so gross. It's written so well. Like you really, like you can taste that fungus mist when these spore things are happening.
I can sort of do that even just from your description.
and I'm not even describing it the best of my ability. Like he nailed it. So the whole, but it's very COVID PTSD in there. So it makes it relevant. It's not COVID that's infecting these people. Obviously it's a different thing. It's an intelligent disease that is taking over, and they want to contain it to this one island. So you know that everybody has to die, right? Like, because if somebody leaves the island, there's the potential that they're going to have this disease in them. So you know, you can see where it's going, the ending, but the ending, he gives you this last final little jab right there at the end, and it was perfect, and it was horrible. It was so gross. I loved it. I really did love it. I gave it 5 stars, and it's, again, I'm not into eco horror. I don't think I've read only a couple books that dealt with that, with climate change and the earth taking back and getting its revenge. He did it really well. I'm blown away. Chris Golden, if you want recommendations, follow his Facebook. He knows what's up.
Yeah. He's been talking, he's always talking about some great author. And I was going to say, I think that Cynthia Paleo recommended one of the books you mentioned earlier today too.
Which book?
With the VHS.
Oh, the Homeless Where the Bodies Are.
Yeah.
I can't see her reading that either. Like why would she be reading? Because it's mostly romantic suspense that she writes, and she kind of like didn't do that in this book, and I think that's, I don't know, maybe she's on a different path now. Well, that was really good.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to go back and forth, but it just occurred to me that I'd seen that on Instagram as well.
Well, and then the whole VHS cover is trending right now on book covers. I know Paul Tremblay's new book coming out, horror movie, I believe that has a VHS on the cover as well. She did that. Someone else did it too. I can't think of who it was. So that whole look is trending.
Yeah, retro.
I'm okay with it.
Yeah. So we just have one more minute. Do you have one more quick book?
I don't. That's my whole list. I actually
awesome,
didn't have like a mega list. And I went at this because, like I said, I'm in Vermont. I went into this unprepared. So I'm like, I'm just going to throw things out there. But there's a little bit for everybody on this path, I think. There's, you got some tearjerkers, you got some cozies, you got some zombie spore popping out the head stuff. Awesome. Just really, I'll send you over this list so everybody can see it. I hit all the bases in the month of May. Let's see what I got going on for June.
Okay, well, we'll see you the second Tuesday of June at 7:00, and happy reading, everybody. Thanks, Jody. Have a great
no problem. Bye.
Bye.